Welcome, everybody, to the very first episode of the Hippie Dippy Show. I'm one of your hosts, Beau Bowker.
I'm Cassidy Bowker.
And I'm Jeffrey J.
Yeah. And this is a brand new podcast because there's not enough in the world.
No, we're in quarantine right now due to the coronavirus, and nobody's putting out any social media content.
COVID-19, ever heard of it?
It's all you hear about.
It is. It really is.
Okay.
I think that's how we're all feeling.
Yeah. So I think that's why we had this podcast. We had the idea already for this podcast, and then COVID-19 hit, and I think it was more needed than ever.
Absolutely, because we're going to talk a little bit about who this show is for, who this podcast is for, because some of our listeners may know Jeff and I have had other podcasts in the past, and this is, I'll call it a departure from those. We've evolved and we've changed, and so has the world, frankly. And it calls for, and what's going on within us and around us is calling for a different experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think and so what this podcast is, it's a podcast for anybody who loves and believes in all of the hippy dippy crap there is out there, like we do. Things like meditation or kombucha or journaling or the universe. Anyone who doesn't feel like they fit in at work.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. Like, Jeff was talking beforehand about how one of the reasons why he wants to do this show is because he has these sort of beliefs or techniques for self-care and wellness and things like that. But work is a great example of a place where sometimes you feel like, well, wait a minute, is it safe to talk about this with that person? Are they going to think I'm a weirdo? Yes. Or that, I'm a hippie?
Yeah, that you're off your rocker because you
Right.
genuinely may believe that, crystals have power and that they are healing and that things that have no science behind it have bettered your life. And so then I'll say like, oh yeah, I feel a lot healthier because I'm drinking a ton of kombucha. And
Right.
and they're like, there's just slime juice. I'm like, I'm healthier for it. So I think this is the place where you don't have to feel embarrassed.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And who do you think this show is for?
I think this show is also for folks out there that are curious, that are really, really curious, or maybe just a little bit curious. And this shift right now of times and with, yes, COVID-19 and us pulling back and retreating a little bit, it's bringing up these thoughts, these what ifs, what if this isn't all bad? What if this is a reaching out from Mother Nature for us to sort of move more with the seasons and stay in and care with our families and cook and yeah.
Totally.
I love that.
Yeah, and I'm with you too. I think that this show is going to be for anybody who's looking for new ideas or new techniques, that wants to learn new things with us, because that's the other thing too. For the most part, Jeff and I are comedians and actors and improvisational actors, and that's what we've been for most of our life, I guess. And we're certainly not experts. Cassidy is my wife, and and she, among the three of us, certainly is the most qualified and experienced to talk about all this. And we'll get into why, and what her qualifications are. But also, this is a topic. This is a realm where you don't need to be an expert, and this show is done with a lightness about it, a lightheartedness about it, like, because we are not qualified, first of all, to be like, here's exactly what it is and exactly how you need to do it, what you need to do. But we do have a sort of tertiary knowledge through experience with all these wonderful things for self-care, for physical wellness, emotional wellness, spiritual wellness, and things like that that I believe are so important, obviously in general, but crucially important during this time. And I think part of the shift that Cassidy's talking about is I think this what's going on right now is an opportunity and a moment in time and society where we are all shifting into this new sort of this new paradigm of taking care of ourselves and in mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I'd like to like since everyone's just getting to know us with this weird hippy dippy show, I'd love for us to we're gonna get into it real deep at some point, but you're gonna love hate it. But I think we should go through and say some of the things that we're into that maybe we don't always tell everybody. Like some of the things you've done. There's even things that like me and Beau have started. You know, we've gotten together. The other day I went to you guys' house,
Yep.
and we started our hangout session. We're just friends. We're just good friends, and we went to bro hangout with Cassidy. Just I call one of the bros. Just
Why
bro.
married?
Yeah, we just went to bro hangout, and we started our hangout with cacao and a prayer. And that's how we started. Our, like, hey, dude, you want to hang out? Hey, real quick, let's do a cacao grateful ceremony real quick.
And while
Then
we're
we,
at it, let's pull a few animal spirit cards.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. I found out I was a zebra. So take that, all you crabs out there. Um, but so a couple of the things that I'm in that people. So I'm a big fan of like oil pulling. Uh, I did go to rehab. That's a spiritual journey. I am eating mostly vegan right now. I believe that the universe is what gives me power. And yeah, and I believe in the law of attraction, and I think words have power, etc. So this is an example of some of the things that I sometimes am scared to tell. I loved The Secret, the movie and the book. So those are a couple of things that I'm embarrassed to tell people, but if I get the chance, I just grab on them like, "You're my best friend for life. You also like this weird thing?" Like we're soulmates now. I believe in soulmates. I believe we have tons of soulmates.
You know what it is? It's how I imagine that racist people feel
Yes.
when they meet another racist, and they're like somebody will say something kind of racist, and I imagine the other person's like, "Hey, you're racist too, man."
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I can talk about this with you.
I've been looking for somebody else with hate in their heart.
This is like that, but the opposite.
No one here is racist.
No. Well, I hope that goes. It's like, look, this is a wellness podcast for racists, and if you don't like it, you're probably a. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll stay away from the race jokes because since this is a video podcast, you can see we have very little diversity.
Hey, she's 1/4 Filipina.
Are you?
Huh?
Oh yeah, I knew that about you.
You don't know my grandma. You don't know my grandma.
That's true. She'd be pissed at me if I had said that. Yeah. Yeah. So
transgender, diverse.
I'm super transgender.
And I have a beard.
You do.
So...
You do. I think that gives you negative points on the diversity scale.
Yeah, white guy with a beard. It's true.
Yeah, I'm more diverse because I can't grow one because they're super in right now.
That's right.
So Why don't you list a couple of the things that you guys do that I know you guys are better about not really being embarrassed about it, but I know there was something even Beau told me the other day that he was a little bit self-conscious about telling me he went and did. Um,
What? My
your
man
retreat.
weekend?
Yeah.
Yes, I went
He
on.
went on a man weekend.
So I think that's a great way to start this podcast with in general, because it's part of where the idea came from. Jeff and I, again, we've podcasted together before. We are dear friends. I love them so much, and we had talked about doing another podcast together. It's been a while. I just feel the need to talk and connect with more people, and to talk and connect with Jeffrey one-on-one too, so that was a big thing for us. And I went on this retreat, which I jokingly call it a man retreat, but it was I mean, that's like almost a pejorative way of putting it, like today's society. But it's about embracing your masculinity and getting in touch with that, but more in a very healthy and balanced way, and really just about balancing ourselves, but doing it in the company of men and
Yeah.
working together as men,
Yeah.
because there is a tendency for men to become lone wolves,
Or gay.
right? Yes, exactly. And this is about one of their sort of taglines is, that I saw in one of their emails is, men need men and women need women and women need men and men need women. We all need each other. And so that was what that was.
Yeah.
It was about really getting attuned, to that part of my experience as a human in this lifetime. I also believe in multiple lifetimes.
Yeah. First of
And
all, it does just sound like a bisexual dating site.
what, Sacred Sons?
Men need
Or...
men, women need women, women need men need women.
Little did you know, we're actually in a polyamorous relationship.
Hey! Do it?
No, we don't.
Just like, what?
Oh, I know, because I am.
Right, there you go. But we're not closed. It's a very closed off marriage.
Yeah, that's the one thing you're not open-minded to. I love the idea that, like, we're open to everything except monogamy. That we're firmly interested in our monogamy.
Right. But so I really, a lot shifted for me during this retreat. I really came into touch with myself on a much deeper level, like, just who I am and who I intend to be, and just my best self, really. And I will, over the weeks and months, get more into that, I'm sure. But I came away feeling like, oh, no, I don't feel like I can do a podcast with Jeff like I've done in the past. Like, you know, I in the past, a lot of my comedy has been very, I would call it negative, and if nothing else, it's very judgmental, which is a lot of comedy, and there's still a place for that. But I felt at that time like I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do a podcast the way I used to. And that left me feeling inadequate, and to do it would feel, there would be a lack of integrity and a lack of authenticity on my part. And this is what's beautiful is I sat down and I told Jeff, I said, Jeff, I've been avoiding you for the last 2 weeks because I don't want to tell you. I have a hard time being honest with you and telling you directly what I'm about to tell you, which is that I don't think I can do this. And I don't want to let you down, and I feel bad. And by being so direct with Jeff, this new idea came about. I explained to him what I had experienced and where I was at. And Jeff, God bless him, was was filled with cacao and,
It
and,
was.
and filled with openness.
Yep.
And he received me that way and wasn't like, that sucks, man. Like, you promised me, or anything like that. There was zero judgment, and he was just so open and received me beautifully and was like, well, maybe this is what it is. Maybe this is what it is. Talking about all this stuff that we talk about when we're not joking around. And on that note too, that's not to say that a spiritual journey or a wellness journey is humorless. It's certainly not. Humor is, and laughing to me has always been a spiritual thing, and something that I believe very deeply in its healing powers. And that's why we want to do this show that's about loving ourselves and taking care of ourselves,
Yeah.
and helping others find that, and creating a place to talk about that, and doing it in a lighthearted, funny way, but also
Absolutely.
an authentic way.
Yeah. Because, and also too, it's not perfect. That's the thing, is that going on these amazing journeys and stuff, they're hard. Excuse my language. They're hard as shit. They're hard
Yeah.
as shit. Do you know? I just almost asked you. Do you know how hard it is to go away on a retreat when you have twins? Yeah, you do.
I do.
Yeah, and so, well, first, I just want to touch on what you're saying, kind of piggyback off of this importance of humor, right? Because humor is lightness. Lightness is effortless, is easy, and easiness is normal. And so I think this podcast is also for people who, yes, are very spiritual and in this community, such as myself and a lot of my friends and mentors. But sometimes, in like an unhealthy version, we can get too much into that headiness, or
Right.
like too holier than thou with your divinity and your spiritual practice.
Totally.
So it's really important, because we are human, and there is something beyond just our physical form and our vessel, that needs to be integrated, right? And how do we integrate that? With humor, with lightness, with normalizing some of these things, and yes, laughing at them.
Yeah, we were trying to have a nice prayer, and you had to pry Buddha from out of your son's mouth.
Yeah.
You're just walking around with a little Buddha statue stuck in his mouth, a big old fat belly sticking out.
My son's?
Yeah.
My son's belly sticking out? Probably.
Both.
Um,
Both.
yeah. Yeah. No, that's so funny. Well, and that is part of, I think, yeah, what we're touching on too is two more folds of this, and what our sort of mission is in this podcast, what our goal is, and who it's for. One is, we want to make all of these things, like what we're talking about, the self-care, the wellness, the techniques behind the meditation or the breath work or yoga, or certain dietary things. There's a million that I'm sure we'll go into over the weeks and months, and hopefully years.
Yeah.
But to make it accessible, and digestible for everybody, as opposed to like just like, because it can be so daunting, I think, for people to be like, what's breath work?
Oh,
Like, let me
God.
just jump in, and it's like, oh yeah, like it's a big huge thing, and even cacao, like we haven't even explained what cacao is.
Oh my God. And I
But-
can't wait for you to tell me about it, because you gave it to me and it was delicious, and I'm really great at looking into stuff. And I went to the store and I was like, this is overwhelming. Like, do I just, because you're like, I flew overseas and I got this cacao and it's beautiful and it's spiritual and it's all done by hand. And I was like, I got Hershey's cocoa at home. Is it the same?
Right.
And also too, when you try and learn about stuff, like I wanted to learn about meditation one day, and so I found a podcast thing on meditation, and they're like, you know what's amazing about meditation is that when you really get into it, there's people who they meditate for days and never eat, and there were flies laying the eggs in their back. And I'm like, I want to make it 4.5 minutes.
Right.
I want to make it 4 without thinking about the errand I didn't run. Like
Right.
or not just being like, I sound funny. I just baby step it for me. And don't be so serious about it, because I don't want to get lost under a waterfall while I don't even know where a waterfall is.
I'm from Texas City, Texas.
Yeah.
Well, so accessibility is a big component of this, and doing all this in a conversational, fun way, and then building community.
Yeah.
Like I mean, community. I used to rail against communities. On our old podcast, I used to be like, oh, I'm so sick of communities. Because there was, for me, a stigma of like, oh, it's always got to be activism and it's got to be this. But what I've come to understand better what community is and what it can be. And I haven't had it. And I have been on my own in so many ways, and I've isolated myself in so many ways. And there I've experienced part of what the retreat is that I went on, was about group healing.
Mm-hmm.
And part of what we did, and which again, it's gonna, and I can't say this every time I introduce a new idea, because we'll just constantly be saying it, but this may sound crazy, but that's another name for the podcast.
Yeah.
Very well.
That's our subtitle, Hippie Dippy. This may sound crazy, dot, dot, dot. But that's what a lot of this is going to be. Yeah. This may sound crazy, but and it will to some, and others it won't. Initially, but others it may sound nutty initially, but then we'll explain it and we'll talk about it, and you'll consider it, and it's going to make you think that's bullshit.
Yeah.
For the first 2 months, and then something will happen, and you'll be like, "Oh shit! I remember when I heard about that. Maybe that is a thing."
Yeah, and you'll realize we're right about everything.
Right. And so, but group healing, I experienced healing for myself by watching and being there for others while they were healing. And it gives me chills when I say that because of the visceral experience. And I think Cassidy has experienced that because she is trained in breath work, which is a lot of group, and she leads breath work. And that's a group healing. And I've been in a room full of people while Cassidy led breath work. And dude, this is 25 people that came together. And they're all having their individual experiences led by Cassidy in this case. And they all experience this monumental shift for themselves. Like, and again, breath work is another thing that I know we're going to talk a lot about on future episodes. But yeah, building community so that we can all heal together and learn and grow together and connect.
And I have to say, I like everything. My brain is open to like everything except for, as we've established, racism. But I have never really done breath work, so like I'm excited about it because like it's just something that once you look into it, it's like, what even is it? What do I? And it should be so. I'm sure it's the easiest thing in the world once you know where to start. But so just one of the things I love about this already is that the minute you say something, I'm like, oh yeah, I wanted to read into that or do it or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I have no idea what oil pulling is.
Yeah, me neither.
It's the whole thing you do with coconut oil. And coconut oil is magic in itself, so we'll learn about it, and it's gonna be great. It sounds like we have a bunch of products to push, but we don't. We're not even a part of one MLM yet.
Yeah.
But we're open for business, guys. So if any MLMs are out there looking to sponsor, We have no shame.
We're like the Santa's elves of experiences. We just want to like sprinkle little experience tastes all over the place.
I
Right?
love it.
Berries.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which, yeah. Jeff's been called that his whole life.
My entire life. No one's just ever put like a reasoning behind it. They just like, you're like a Santa's elf. And then they just stop there.
Right.
I'm like, what does that mean?
Cassidy, so on this same note, like, do you want to talk about things that you believe, like Jeff mentioned?
So, so basically, I think the original question, Jeff, you were kind of asking things that you believe that sometimes maybe stirred up some resistance, like in your friends, in your family, at your workplace, and you felt kind of like self-conscious of them, right?
Yeah, or like what are the things that maybe you wouldn't tell somebody, or that like you went away, and I don't want to take that away from you, so I want to say, but like you going away while you have toddlers and things like that. Like these are amazing things you've done to better yourself, and telling people, hey, it's okay, or whatever. What are the things that make you hippy dippy, that make you sound crazy?
Yeah, so just a couple of things about me. I am a yoga instructor. I am a breathwork facilitator and space holder.
Not science.
Prenatal postpartum guide. Specialize in prenatal postpartum yoga as well. And I'm a nurse. This all started when I, became a nurse in a hospital, and I was sort of passing out medications, putting Band-Aids on wounds. Okay, a little bit more in depth than that. That's pretty gross.
I got a boo-boo, nurse. I got a boo-boo. You were on Band-Aid duty. I don't think you got good grades.
When I was in hospital systems and I was assessing stage 3 pressure ulcers.
There we go. Yeah, making fun of the people who only did stage 1s.
So basically, yeah, I was in that field, and there was always a part of me. I think it's really deeply rooted in my blood, right? It's part of this culture that I grew up with, the Filipino culture of my mom, my grandma, and that side of my family, who are natural born caregivers. I think that's, it can be a really beautiful generalization of Filipino culture. They just care. These women care. So yeah, there was one day when and many days when I was thinking like, this is not healing. Me giving medication is not healing. It's so superficial. Me doing some wound care is not necessarily healing. It's on a deeper level, and scientists and doctors and all types of people talk about this, right? Where do these diseases come from? Where do they stem from? Autoimmune disease, where does it stem from? There's a lot of stress that we hold in the body that we're not processing. There's a lot of energy that wants to move and does not have an outlet because we don't address specific things, because we've been taught and conditioned impulse control. And amongst other things that, yes, this can be a discussion for another day, but so I sort of had this come to Jesus moment of like, there's more to this, but I didn't quite understand. And this is where our relationship is so beautiful, because Beau has been one of my most important and strongest messengers in my life.
Gay. It's lovely.
It's the truth. When I was, on maternity leave, which I thought after 4 or 5 months, I would go back to the hospital and return to my nursing career.
Right.
Pretty much impossible.
Yeah.
Right? I have twins.
I remember you saying that too.
Yeah, I don't know if any listeners out there can really relate to this. If you have multiple children, if you are parents of multiples, it is not rainbows and butterflies. It's a lot of bullshit. It's a lot of sleep deprivation and craziness. And you know what that does to a relationship? It can really rock you if you are not grounded. So thank God we were really grounded going into it. And we have that awareness. We've developed and cultivated this sense of awareness.
On it much
that we chose to seek therapy, to seek guidance. And we have stuck with that almost going on 3 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's been
That's
a
a
really
lot of
beautiful. It's
I
a
was
lot
like,
of money.
oh, children are that old?
No,
But
yeah.
yeah, we have an absolutely incredible spiritual coach.
Yeah, Reverend
Kathy.
Kathy Silva. Yeah, she's incredible. And so we did. I had, some pushback initially because I've always gone to therapy, more traditional therapy, and done it in person, exactly. And while I'm a very spiritual person, I was like, right, okay, there's a spiritual counselor, but maybe also someone with like a degree from college.
Yeah.
Like, and I was kind of judgmental in that way going in. And I mean, it's the best thing that we could have done. Not that we wouldn't have also benefited from psychotherapy, like psycho couples. I don't know what it's called.
Psycho
couples.
Couple therapy. That would have fit at certain times in our relationship, but this has been so incredible, and it's really just taught us a lot of techniques that aren't necessarily like, well, just pray to Jesus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not that. It's not like light a candle while you're having sex and that'll increase your intimacy. Like it's there's a lot of work, a lot of looking in, because at the end of the day, it's all about yourself.
Yeah. Can I ask then, because I feel like this is a perfect opportunity, because I am in my apartment right now with my partner, and this is my desk, and 4 feet away is where her desk starts, because we are now quarantined. Right. And we now live and work and have every moment of our lives in this space. And I am so freaking blessed. And my atheist partner would be like, blessed. But I feel so blessed. She's right there on the couch and she's looking at me like a dog who's mad. But I'm so blessed to have a partner where our communication, we get tiffy for sure. But our communication is wonderful. Also, I love and respect her, and she's an amazing human in what she does. She edits things and stuff. She does the lighting and all this wonderful stuff.
Cool.
But my point is that we are 100% around each other every single moment of the day now, from start to finish, and it's going on a week now, and everybody's in that boat. Do you have any tools from this spiritual counselor that are fun or silly or weird, or maybe someone hasn't heard of? I mean, I'm just so interested in if there's anything you can share that can help my crazy partner off my back.
You want to begin?
Well,
because the short answer is yes. It takes a ton of work, what I want to touch on, but yes, absolutely. There's a lot of tools that need to be employed by people right now, because I've seen people being like, there's going to be a huge baby boom coming out of this pandemic quarantine, and a huge divorce rate.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
I'm like, all I can think about is, have you ever like left somebody and been like, hey, we need to put an end to this, but we'll wait till next month to move out until, that's all I can think about is like, I was going to move out on the 1st. Those people just, oh God.
My God. Wow. Yeah. I didn't think of that. That's a great point. All the people that were like just about to break up. All right, I'll stick it out another week. And then like, you're quarantined for the next possibly several months.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we're gonna work on it.
I know. You can't even leave. I was telling him, I was like, what if we really got into a big thing? I'm not leaving. Just looked at her and I was like, we're just gonna be mad.
Not only are you quarantined, but most of us, are sort of jobless.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So you're not supposed to be out and about, and then also like you don't have the funds.
No.
Right. Yeah.
I lost all of my jobs, every show, everything. I am unemployed, And luckily my partner's not, and also luckily something, I believe the universe prepares you for things, and I was very prepared, and I never am. So like the universe like just had my back. I never save money. I'm amazing at not saving money. And I saved for no reason. And then this hit and I was
Not
like,
for no reason though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not for
no
no reason,
reason.
because there's a, you know, as far as things we believe, no, there's an intuition. I think we all have that intuition, and I firmly believe that every single thing, and this is also a tool to cope with what's going on right now, with the quarantine and with all this fear and uncertainty that's being felt, that's sort of natural, and all that's being promoted on more of an unnatural level. um, but everything happens as it's meant to, and I know that's a phrase that gets made fun of a lot, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, sure it is. What about so and so who died from fucking COVID-19?
Yeah. Or
Okay.
like this, this when something really bad happens, like the coronavirus, like you telling me every one of these people attracted this, or you telling me it's like, oh, and then it also gets
Yeah.
harder to defend.
And right, it does, like, because it's not easy to swallow and but my view on it, on this philosophy in general of everything happens as it's meant to, and it doesn't stop there, as it's meant to, for the greater good, for the greater evolution of us all, because I do believe that we are all connected through whatever you want to call it, light, energy, spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing
That thing in
about this show.
Avatar.
Yeah, I don't care what you call it or how you relate to it. Some people have a problem with the term God. I personally don't have a problem with it. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
been used throughout
Mm.
history, and that's unfortunate. But the point being that I believe that we are all one, and I believe that we are all connected. And what's good for for one of us is ultimately good for all of us. And there are things that happen that do not look good. They do not feel good. They do not feel comfortable. They do not feel like the answer. But ultimately, it is for the greater good. Not, and the more I'm aware of that, the more I see every single thing fitting in my life perfectly. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I look at just, you know, there, and there's always the ability to look at things with either lens, of like, well, this is horrible. Like, this is, like, I could easily look at all this and be like, this is fucking horrible. And
Yeah.
sometimes, and that's important to note too, sometimes I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes on Monday, 2 days ago, I was livid about
Yeah.
about much of what's going on. About,
Parks
we're not allowed to be
closing,
going to
trails.
beaches anymore.
Yeah.
And I get the flattening the curve, but
Yeah.
you're telling me to stay healthy
Yeah.
by avoiding the sun and,
Yeah.
and fresh air, and so there's things like that. There are those moments where I'm so upset and whatever, and I do see it in this negative lens, and that's where I have to bring it back and say, okay, what are all the other ways? Because there's a million different angles on every incident in the world, in the news, and in your personal life. And so everything happens for the greater good. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe that ultimately wonderful things are going to happen from this. I
Mm-hmm.
think some difficult things certainly are going to
Yes.
come out of this, and are already manifesting. But already there's so much good manifesting,
Mm-hmm.
and we can touch on that too. Um, and so my point, going back to my original point, which is there's something within you, this greater sort of collective consciousness that was preparing for this.
Mm-hmm.
I look at what Cassidy and I experienced coming into this huge shift in society and in the world, which is she went off for a week to Guatemala to study cacao and had this huge transformation for herself. And I went on this retreat and had this right before she left.
Right before.
And I had this huge transformation. And going into it, I was super conflicted on so many levels, really struggling, having a lot of anxiety in general, which I'm not totally accustomed to. But I was in, I would call it a really difficult place in my life. And I went on this amazing weekend. And I came out of it totally shifted, vibrating on this higher wavelength and higher consciousness. And that was our preparation for what we're experiencing now when the whole world had a transformational shift and is currently undergoing that. And
yeah, that's amazing. So then with this spiritual your spiritual guide, this lady, is it a lady?
Yeah.
Is it a lady or is it a lady? Is it a?
That's funny. It's a lady. It's a woman. Yeah.
All right.
She's a woman and she is a lady.
All right. And what tools? I know you had said another tool earlier that I almost want to bring up because it was fantastic. The container type stuff. But I want to know, what can you do when you're trapped in a house?
Yes.
Not trapped. Sorry. Let's start by changing our language. What when you are given the opportunity to, this might get too cheesy, to connect with your partner on a deeper level and you are forced to?
Yes. I won't even say that we're forced to do this right now.
Yeah.
Right? In our houses, we are encouraged. And there's no military vehicles parked outside of our house telling us that we have to be in here. If my neighbor sees me walking around outside, they're not going to tell me I have to go inside. We are still in power. And I think that's very, very important to know. We still have choice, and we're making active choices on behalf of ourselves, our families, and the community around us. And I think we should all really applaud ourselves, those of us who are participating in, yes, the social distancing. And yes, I've had my own resistance around it. And I go back and forth because duality is real, right? We don't always have to just believe one thing heavily. We can ebb and flow in our understanding.
Yeah.
So anyways, to answer your question, Jeffrey J., one thing that I had brought up is this container exercise.
Yeah.
And this container exercise can be kind of fun if you ground yourself and create like a boundary. Like Beau was saying, it does take a lot of work. It's not easy to say, okay, I'm going to, initiate this container exercise. Would you like to do it with me? Yes. I have some things I'd like to share with you. May I? You ask permission. Yes. Are you ready to receive? Yes. Make sure.
So you do this with your partner. You and your partner say, I've got a box. Wait.
Cassidy, for our podcast listeners, for the people on iTunes and whatever other podcast hosts, she's holding her arms out like she's making a basketball hoop for a child.
Got it. She's got a big container.
And it is for a child. It's for your inner child to purge all these emotions that end up getting triggered, okay? Because, any judgment that I have about you is actually about me, but let's just go ahead and purge, let all of those emotions out first. Okay,
you're always peeing on the seat, not Beau.
Yes. Technically. Maybe I don't know. I could really get into this hypothetical, but we don't need to.
I accidentally hit a real nerve. He pisses everywhere.
I'm very good about that. There's been some issues lately, but I started peeing sitting down recently. Look, we'll talk.
Is this real? Please tell me this is real.
At nighttime, I sit down to pee so that, look, we're
terrified to wake up our children because we're so tired.
We live in 1,000 square feet. All right. We're quarantined in 1,000 square feet with children that are light sleepers. And, on the hippy dippy aspect, one of them is highly attuned and intuitive and attuned to us.
Yeah.
So no matter when I'm awake, he will wake up because he feels my something. And so I sit down to pee at night. Okay. And I don't know look, maybe the nurse can help us out in this case. Maybe she can explain it. But when I get up after I'm done peeing, a little bit of pee-pee comes out. All right, a little bit more pee-pee comes out. All right, I don't like something about this going from sitting to standing. I don't know if I'm unleashing my prostate or my urethra, or my bladder, but something gets it gets released.
Oh my God.
A little bit of pee-pee on the front of the seat. Okay.
Oh my God. My hilarious example just like started the divorce.
Luckily, it's not sexy.
Yeah.
Because we're doing potty training right now, not because we're into like.
Oh yeah.
I'm potty training.
That's what he's learning. He's just teaching Jack what not to do. Oh my God. So back to the container.
So you're holding the container.
Container exercise.
Right.
Yeah.
They're holding space. Basically, the container is a visual because our eyes need something to see, right? Okay, so if I'm going to express all of these emotions right now, then here's my physical container that I'm holding out in front of you because this is not about me. I'm just holding space for you so that you can let this all out. And then once you've purged all these emotions, heavy emotions, blah, 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 get it all out. You can breathe, recenter, ground, try as best as you can to come from a place of love and understanding and better hold space for your partner to have that conversation that otherwise could have gotten really, really heated because we need a space to vent. One time I was really upset and we were not practicing at this point, this type of exercise. I think actually we end up talking about this exercise because of this incident. So we were kind of butting heads. I don't know why. And so I need to leave. My thing is when I'm, really worked up, I need to move. I need to move myself, remove myself, go for a walk, get outside, separate, go to a different room. And that can be very insulting to your partner.
Yeah.
And how do you do that right now when you're supposed to be indoors and not wandering around outside?
Yeah,
right?
or lock yourself in the bathroom or something that like then looks, while you're needing to do it for yourself, it may look childish to your partner, and that like, because I've had that instance where it's like someone wants to storm out and I'm like, why are you storming out and not letting us resolve this? And they're like, well, I just need the space, so I'm not looking at it from there, blah blah blah,
Right, and that's valid too, like because sometimes we do need space. And not to get off on a tangent before we finish this, because there's more to talk about with the container. But I think it is important to create boundaries during this time too, of like, hey, I need to do this. I know, like I've got enough enmeshment with Cassidy and our children where like, if I'm not with them, I feel like I should be a lot of times. And it's important even in, a small apartment to create, like literally create your own space in terms of like, I've created over next to my bed, my nightstand is my little shrine. And I do my sort of movement and meditation in front of it.
Yeah.
And I can't do all the moves I want to do because it is confined, but it's something, and a teacher of mine, Trevor, taught me this, like just make everything turnkey so that if you're in the kitchen and the kids are losing their mind or your partner says, look, I need some space, and that triggers you in some way, that, okay, I can just go from a little space, light my little candle, and now I'm in my sort of safe space, for lack of a term that I love.
Oh, yeah. Beau used to hate that term.
I still do. But finding a space and making it all accessible and being willing to take your own space and to tell your partner, draw boundaries and say like, hey, I want to be with you. I want to watch Tiger King as much as but look, I need to go read right now. Like I just need to unwind and not be around anyone else's energy, your energy, although I love you, or the Tiger King's energy. Like I just need to go, and it's on Netflix, everyone.
And it's amazing.
Everyone knows by now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think creating boundaries is important. But I do want Cassidy to finish the stuff about the container because it is
Yeah.
valuable.
No, but this is fabulous. This is the exact thing that as we continue, like, this is what I want to know. I want to learn that you pee on seats. But I want to, like, these are just skills and things we wouldn't regularly talk about, and we're best
Right.
friends. All three of us are best
Yeah.
friends with each other. Like, sometimes I feel guilty about texting one of you and then texting the other. I'm like, is this behind their backs?
That's
And
great.
and it's all love too. That's what's funny. I'm loving someone behind their back. I'm giving someone too much love, and I don't want the other one to be jealous, even though I've got enough.
That's very sweet.
But this is why this podcast is what it is, because we want to grow and become better with each other's weird shit.
Right.
And this is
And
perfect.
alternative methods and coping mechanisms, like because that's the thing during all this, like self-care and physical and emotional and spiritual health are so important because especially when there is all this fear going around, that shit's gonna make you sick. Like that's what gets you sick is the stress and the fear. And and I get it, man. Like as much as I don't feel fearful most of the time, I do empathize with those who do. And sometimes it's a challenge because there's part of me that sometimes wants to be like, it's okay. We're going to be okay. And look at this statistic that might not freak you out. And look at this one and think about this. And it's going to be fucking okay.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to empathize. And I do for the most part.
So those, when you bring up all of those other statistics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because again, there's both sides to every story, to every experience, crises.
Right.
They could shove another one in your face. But what about this? What about this?
Right.
And the death toll and blah, blah, blah. So, but I say that a lot, blah, blah, blah.
I love this is also a journey for Cassidy in her first podcast.
Yeah, that's
which
right.
is amazing. We're gonna see how you develop and grow in your podcast.
I know it. I'm already. It's great.
You're already killing it. Where can you even go from here? Like, you're already killing it.
Thank you, Jeffrey J. So I think that it's really important to notice that, yes, we hold space for all emotions, that all emotions are totally valid, that all experiences, yes, that there are both sides, that we're honoring both sides and addressing both sides. And not becoming, because you and I are both very spiritual people, and this is something that even our Reverend Kathy, our spiritual coach, has noted of me, that I become the eternal optimist. I have a tendency to be an eternal optimist because I'm so attached to this extraordinary faith, and I just know that, yes, everything is for a higher good and purpose. However, that can sometimes be to my detriment, right? And our experience together, and suppressing, avoiding, pushing away, bottling up emotions that I'm feeling. And I had been this, last week was the first real week of, we kept our children home from school. They're in a private school and they hadn't closed their doors. When all of the other school districts are closed, when everyone else is encouraging you to be indoors. So, right. So that first week happened. You were saying that's the longest week of my life. I was saying, this ain't so bad. This is kind of great. I'm really loving it. Yeah. I actually feel more in touch with my community than ever before. And we can touch on that too. Through this virtual communication that we're having right now, I feel closer to you, Jeffrey J, than we have been, right? Because life happens and we don't reach out to our closest friends. We don't reach out to all of our family members, but we've been really, really in touch. And people are using apps like Marco Polo to send each other video messages back and forth, and communicating with one of my very best friends and working together through some emotions that are coming up. Yeah. And then, so in the past couple of days, I had my first bad dream. I had my first bad dream about, COVID-19. And I don't really remember what it was. And I don't think that was important. I don't think it's this clairvoyancy or anything,
Yeah.
nothing like that. I just think that there are emotions that I was bottling up. So when I woke up the next day, I realized, you know what, self, I have been taking on that eternal optimist role, putting on that hat, and I need to talk about these feelings. So I talked with another mom and a little bit with you, and yeah, I just.
Yeah.
Well,
It's huge.
and oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
So
Jeff.
no, it's okay because I do the same thing. I told Emma um, the other day, I was like, I never let myself realize that I was completely unemployed. I
Mm,
didn't. I lost every college show that I had booked, which was
stand up. Yeah.
for stand-up comedy. And then I had another side job that completely closed down, and I was completely unemployed. And I was like going around going, this is amazing because I have the perfect opportunity. I'm going to do this kid show that I started called It's JJ on YouTube, which you can find it if you have a toddler. If you don't, it is
It,
for children.
it's
Don't
so
Great.
good.
you
We
don't
watch a lot of children's videos, and like as soon as I saw this, I was like, "Oh, this is amazing!" And our children were way into it. So if you do have kids, have them watch it.
I will tell you that it has been instrumental in keeping me very positive because people send me videos and pictures of their kids with like tissues on their heads or saying like it's JJ and stuff like that, and that honestly has been keeping me sane throughout everything because kids are just a pure joy and love and enlightenment and love, and so to know that I'm helping children just that it's all I want to do in my life because it just brings me pure joy and they're innocent and they have the opportunity to do anything in the world, and that's why I love your children too and all the things. They're just wonderful and beautiful, and also they're intelligent, which means they're going to be a nightmare later on. But I always told you need to have dumb kids because they're easy to control. Smart kids are a nightmare. Smart
That's so
kids steal your
funny.
car
That's so
later.
true. That's so funny.
But anyways, I realized I did not process it at all, and I had to like make myself sit down. I still haven't like cried or anything about it, and maybe that's okay because I'm not supposed to yet. But at this
Mhm.
moment in time, what I have saved is all I have, and I don't have anything else coming in. And
Yeah.
at the same time, though, that's okay because I'm getting to put out this good in the world that I've wanted to put out for so long, and I am happier than ever seeing these kids love and enjoy learning and educating and working on motor function, etc.
That's so cool,
But
man. And that's the thing about this too is that I think this time in the world is a huge opportunity
Opportunity. Yep.
to shift and reprioritize and go deeper within and seeing what do I want to do, you
yeah,
know, and what am I called to do right now? Because all my bullshit about what I thought I had to do or my job, which look, yes, it's our livelihood and it's so scary and my heart goes out to those who are dealing with job loss and both heads of the household like
hmm
losing jobs and holy
Mm.
crap, like oh man, I'm with you guys and I feel for you
hmm
guys like because it's scary,
yeah,
you know,
and
and
that's
it's
where we're
paid,
at to where
too.
every day is one day at a time with Emma's job. She could lose it. We were scared. We got a text message this morning, and we're like just holding our breath. So it's a scary time. But yeah, so
And so you know, um, I think this is an opportunity. That I guess is my point. It's an opportunity to exercise faith in the idea of hey, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I'm going to make it work because we're all going to find ways to make it work. And the world is changing as we know it, and we're all going to find ways to make it work. And let's help each other, and let's do what's important to us. You know, I was thinking, um, last week, of this idea of like, hey, remember 2 weeks ago when you gave a shit about X, Y, and Z?
Oh yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, and who cares about most of that? Like,
Yeah.
you don't find half as many people criticizing others online about, hey, this person or this politician or this so and so wasn't politically correct. Yeah, because of the things that are going on in politics and the president and things like that,
Yeah.
there's still discussion of that, but it's on that macro level, as
Yes.
opposed to like, hey, you online who I'm friends with,
Mm-hmm.
you said this and I was offended and blah blah blah. And there's so much less of that bullshit now. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. And so I think we're reprioritizing. I think it's an opportunity to look at, what do we really want to do in life? What do we really want to do in the world? And what can we do in
Mm-hmm.
this moment now?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
and that's where I go sometimes when I do start to spin out in these sort of like fearful fantasies of like, what's going to happen and what am
Mm-hmm.
I going to have to do to protect my children, all this like stuff that's not helpful. And
Yeah.
I pull myself back to, wait, what is happening right now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm playing with my kids and I've got this opportunity to just play superheroes with my kids,
Yeah.
and they don't know shit
Yeah.
like about what's going
That's
on,
gonna
No. You're
you know.
amazing. You're in an amazing period of time that like maybe, your career has stopped right now, and I'm talking to the
Right.
group, like anybody out there, maybe your career has stopped right now. But what is the good you can find in it? Is it
Yeah.
that you got the opportunity? Is it that your son or daughter came home from college for a little bit and you get this opportunity that you
Mhm.
might not have had? Is it that that you get a moment, even if you're in a state of depression and everything? Is it that you get a moment to process that for a little bit, even if it's the worst of the worst?
Mhm.
Is it that you get the chance to learn something new? Or is it that you even just hit a moment to rest where you can say, guess what? I have an excuse to be on the couch and be miserable today. And that's where I
Mhm.
need to be in this moment.
Right.
You know?
Yes, this is something that we want to encourage. So, all the listeners, all of the viewers out there, um, we would like you to write to us, share with us, drop a comment, send a
Yes.
DM, um, send a message to us on Facebook, on Instagram, however you feel called to communicate, sharing with us your feelings, light, dark, whatever they are, whatever you want to call them. If they are heavy, maybe in the same beat or in the next sentence, you share something that is a positive, right? So
Mhm.
that we can address both and not only see through that one lens of the fear, right?
Mhm.
So let's honor
Yes.
both. Also, if you're struggling with that, please come to us and then we can help you.
We can help
You
you
know,
find that
we have
sort
many
of
tools.
way of dealing with it,
Mm-hmm.
and or that way of looking at it from a different angle.
Mm-hmm.
Tools and physical and spiritual
Mm-hmm.
and emotional things that you can do. Therapeutic things that you can
Mm-hmm.
do, and then also just ways of looking at it.
Yeah,
And
just make light
talk
of
about it
it.
on the show, or
Yeah.
write to you
Yeah,
directly as
I've got a
well.
perfect example of something that has made me and Emma laugh, and being trapped with each other is that we've been able to laugh about this horrible thing that we just went through. Is that me and Emma both went vegan right before the
Mm.
coronavirus hits.
Mhm.
And you may think where I'm going with this is that like it's hard to continue eating vegan. It's not hard. What's hard is that we're trapped inside with brand new vegan farts. And we're just gassing each other.
No.
Not,
Yeah.
and at one point she just turned to me and she goes, "How am I supposed to be trapped inside with you and this?" And just in the
Wow.
most real way is
It's
just
so funny.
we're chasing each other out of the only rooms in the house we have left.
Hilarious.
And
Well, and yeah, like, and on that note, this is an opportunity for cleansing. And that's what you're doing basically. But also, like, cleansing, I think, relationships too. You might, when we talk about like, sometimes things don't feel like a positive or look like a positive. And it's like, maybe you're trapped in a house with your partner and you're like, and you realize after a month or whatever, yeah, this isn't my person. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe you realize that, oh, look at these friends that I haven't been in close contact with, and I feel better. You know what I mean? So just take all of this as an opportunity. I think that's so important. I know for myself to do, is take stock of things. And I've done that a lot. Like, I'm reconsidering a lot of career things. And yeah, like, I mean, yeah. And it's like, I was in this system, and Jeff's in it too, at the Groundlings, right? And it's an improv school, and I'm moving along, and for months I've been conflicted with like, okay, what's my next step? Like, because I got to take this next class, and that's the big one. And if you fail the first time, you're kicked out, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and I was talking about it with my therapist, and she was like, who knows what's going to happen? So who cares? Like, and I was like, oh shit, you're right. Like, I don't know, like, if in 3 months they're even going to be open, for classes. And so why do I care about that right now? Relax and just deal with what I can right now, and trust and have faith that when it's time to deal with that, I'll deal with it. But I do want to put a finer point, because I think this has been very long.
It has. We've hit about an hour, so now we can close it on up with some wisdom.
Before we do that, I do want to give Cass that opportunity to finish the sort of container thing. And just make sure that we're putting a finer point on it, to make sure that people, because there's so much excitement for the three of us, and I want to make sure we put a finer point on it, so that people do walk away with this sort of tool.
Right. And we don't want somebody to get half a point and be like, oh, let's do a podcast. I put your shit in a box. And then just like,
hold your arms out and,
Yeah. I shit in this box for you. Done. So, all right.
Yeah.
So basically, just to kind of reiterate, if you are experiencing some type of turbulence within your relationship, whatever type of relationship that is, maybe you have a roommate, if this is a platonic relationship, a friend, maybe you live with your family members, maybe you live with your partner, whatever relationship you're experiencing a little rockiness with in these close quarters, make sure that you have permission to open this conversation. So you need to have permission. So it takes two to tango. You need two people who are open and willing to let go of some things and to talk honestly.
And to just hold space for you, like because that's the thing. You don't want to go to your partner or your friend or whomever, because also there's folks out there that aren't married and aren't in a relationship, but still have something going on within themselves that they need to unleash. And so whether that's to do with the other person, or just within yourself, or to do with your experience of all this crap going on in the world, you want to get permission without just starting the dump. Because if you start out like, all right, mother F, here it comes, and you just lay all this heavy energy on them, or this heightened energy on them, or this really low down energy of sadness on them, like, they might be like, okay, I asked for this, and then they're going to have a reaction. So you want to come to them with, as Cassidy said, asking permission. Hey, I am going through a lot. I'm really upset. I'm really sad. I'm really angry at you, at myself, at the world, whatever. I'm really scared. Can I please just unload to you and just have you hold space for me without you trying to react, trying to defend yourself, or a big one that's for me when Cass talks about how she's the eternal optimist. There's plenty of times where I brought stuff to her and she's like, yeah, but look at it this way. And I'm like, I don't fucking want it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to right now. Like, I need to feel this.
Yeah,
Like,
interesting.
there's a misconception, I think, with the sort of, well, I'm a mindful person or I'm a spiritual person of like, well, then just be fine.
Yeah.
I lived with that for a long time where I was like, no, I know that I can always return to grounding and spirituality and peace within and blah, 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 and use my tools. And so I don't have to feel this way. And yeah, that's all totally true. But what I have learned is that if you do that, you will become a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
Because
it's pressure cooker mentality.
Yes, it's pressure cooker because you're not what's important to do is to feel what you're feeling because you're still a human. You're still a person living this life. And then let that happen. Deal with that. We need to pause.
We got babies coming in.
All right, hooray! No, this is good. I'm leaving this in. This is great.
Okay.
Good.
And to deal with that, and experience that, and let it happen, and then approach it with all of your spirituality and all of your techniques and things.
Yeah.
Hi, my loves.
Hi. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. This is the best way to end
This
the
is
podcast.
Real life.
Hi. Who is that?
Life. This is what I'm talking about. This is the community that I'm experiencing.
All our children and our wonderful babysitter just came in, but
just to interrupt, excuse me, honey.
Hi.
But when my yoga studio's gone virtual in this past week and a half, hi, you can say hi to Uncle Jeffrey. We are seeing from our students that they're living their life while they're doing their yoga. So they might have little babies running around. They might have dogs, kitty cats, other family members, right? Their husbands and watching them or sitting on the couch reading a book. Whoever. And this is real, and we're getting to experience this. It's not just people walking into a yoga studio, hardly acknowledging each other, maybe saying hi, sleeping. This is real, and this is connection, and it's incredible. We're moving past this physical form need to be in front of each other, and here we are. It's about our energy. Our energy is in connection.
I love it. They have never been this still in their entire lives. This is amazing. Say hi. Can everybody say hello?
Can you say hi?
Hey, I see a Zach and I see a Bernice over there.
Zach and Bernice.
This is my Jackie boy, and this is Elise.
I'm totally with you.
So on a regular episode, oh my gosh, you're huge. You have a big head. On a regular episode, we would like to end with a little moment of gratitude that Cassidy's going to lead. On the end of this episode, hey, sometimes life happens, and it's fantastic and beautiful, and this is even better than that.
Yes.
But
you can still do that. So let's just take this opportunity, this moment, to sort of close down. So before we leave, we kind of want to end on this note of you may be driving, you may be cooking, you may be sitting down to watch this. Wherever you are, maybe you close down your eyes, maybe you leave them open and just take this moment of silence, of peace, and of solitude, of sacredness for yourself. Okay, because you chose to take this time to listen in, to turn off your mind stuff, and to simply be present, be open to these other possibilities, to be open to some guidance from your friends, right? Because that's what we want you to see us as, your friends, your family, your community. We're all here because we're all interconnected and we are all one. So take a deep breath. Fill your lungs up with air, feel that expansive quality, and then go ahead and let it out. Breathe out through your mouth, maybe breathe out through your nose. Let some of that energy flow. And then take another deep breath. This time, hold it at the top and feel into that expansive quality, okay? So that breath inside lungs is your life force, your vitality. Yes, and laugh, okay? Bring a smile to your face. One of my mentors, Keith Wilson, the chocolate shaman, in Guatemala, he taught us go to glow, tap into that natural source of love, of happiness, of light, and of freedom, because this is how you will become liberated from the bonds of fear. Okay. So deep breath in, exhale, gratitude. For what is, gratitude for all around you and your community and each other right now. Okay. And please feel free to take this time, continue your own personal meditation practice, and take some of this light, some of this love with you as you continue to move through the rest of your day, your week. And we look forward to sharing in community this conversation and more with you in the future.
All right. We love you all.
Love you.
All right.
We love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Please, if you got anything out of this, tell a friend. We'll talk more about technique in sort of holding space for others and for your partners, and for your friends and your family, because we all need that right now, and it's not always going to be easy. So yeah. Love you guys. Thank you.
I love you. Mwah.
The Hippie Dippy Show, man.
Hippie Dippy Show. Bye.
Bye.